Welcome, everyone, to episode 2 of the dreamloud podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Covenant Eyes, and I will talk more about that later. Before we get started, I want to introduce my good friend Kejal Shah. He is a business professional in the Cincinnati area. He is a dear friend, and I am really excited that I was able to have him on the podcast today. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, welcome everybody to episode 2 of the dreamloud podcast. Today I have my friend Kejal Shah here. Kejal Shah is how would you describe your profession?
I'm a man of many talents.
A man of many talents. So go ahead and kind of give, what you do for a living.
Yeah.
For your actual business, for your full-time job, and then for your side business.
Yeah. So by day, I am a talent acquisition manager for a logistics company, fast-growing logistics company down here in Cincinnati. And in my spare time, I'm actually a professional career coach.
Yeah.
I started my practice just about 8 months ago, and I've had almost about 30 clients just in 8 months, which is not bad.
Yeah,
and
so you're growing rapidly.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
It's a blessing. It's
so
awesome.
when you say career, I know what career coaching is, but for the lovely people watching, what does that entail?
Yeah, so most people, the concept of being a career coach is not as familiar.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear career coach, you're just like, oh, this person is going to tell me how to live my life, and then that's it. No, a career coach is really someone that helps you realize what your true value proposition really is. That's at least what I tell all of my clients, and I have a 6-step program that actually goes from the very beginning of the interviewing process, which a lot of people think, you submit your resume and then you start talking to a couple of recruiters and that's the interviewing process. It's not true. That's something that I help my candidates rediscover, is that really the interviewing process really starts before the very first handshake, before the very first email. It's the first impressions that you give people, and you have to be able to own your brand and really effectively communicate that throughout every stage of the game.
Absolutely. And for me, I was a store manager for a cell phone company for 3 years, and I wasn't able to walk my applicants through the process, but I don't think people understand how important it is to have a good resume, the making your first impression at your interview, how important all of that is. I mean,
it's critical.
I had this girl one time, and it's hard to judge these days on what people can have and what for the job they're going for.
Skill sets. Yeah.
I had a woman show up in a t-shirt and jeans for an interview, and maybe that's all she had, but we had a work uniform. We had a polo, obviously, which we supplied.
It was business casual.
Yeah, business casual, and I mean, she showed up in a t-shirt and jeans for an interview, and the interview didn't last very long. I'm sure, you doing your talent acquisition, you've gotten through some interviews pretty quickly, I'm sure. But I mean, people just don't understand, how important it is to have a good resume, how important it is to, present yourself when you go to an interview. So.
Well, it's not even your resume.
Yeah.
People have this thought process of, if I have a stellar resume and I got the connections, then I'm a shoo-in. I'm going to get the job.
Yeah.
No, wrong-o.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a statistic, this is something I tell all my career coaching clients when I have my first introductory conversation, step 1 of 6 through my process. 87% of all recruiters use LinkedIn as their main hiring platform.
Yeah. I've noticed, coming out of my last job before I got laid off because of, the coronavirus, I found myself on LinkedIn every day, not just looking for jobs, because I knew the time was coming that I was going to be let go just because of how everything's gone. But I mean, just seeing how many people actually use it regularly.
Well, I've, personally, since I started in recruiting, before that I was in professional sales. I've recruited a little over, I want to say 200 people into full-time 100% commission positions. Yeah. And every single one of them, have that A trait personality, I own the world and the world answers to me. Yeah. The best candidates that I've met through my time are the ones that have the perfect balance of humility, humbleness, and then also just a coachability to them and a willingness to help others. Whenever I have a candidate that I do my first interview with, the first thing that I tell them is I believe that everyone has a very unique story. We grow together as a team.
Yeah.
And here at Bridge, the company I work for, we believe that teamwork really does make the dream work. Mm-hmm. And I think that's powerful. And I think that really resonates with a lot of people, especially in this job market. We're up to 15 to 20% unemployment right now. It's staggering. Yeah. I've probably had more candidates in the last 2 weeks than I've had thus far in just starting the business, and it sucks because I feel for people. Yeah. I remember, myself being in those places in my own career, not knowing, okay, what the heck do I do now?
Would you say that in this time, through everything that we're going through, that people getting laid off has helped you be able to find more candidates?
Yes and no. When you're talking about logistics, what we hire for, it's definitely challenging, but it's very rewarding from a monetary perspective, but also just being part of the culture at the company I work at Bridge. It's phenomenal. And that really sets us apart. But there are a lot of companies out there that are trying to hire a bunch of people, but everyone knows that company may not be a really good fit for them, or, they don't necessarily have the skill sets to be in those positions. This is unprecedented, right? Being in the job market that we have today, people that have really good paying jobs, people that have the really stable salaries, what we're finding is, majority of them are keeping their jobs, but they're also looking at this from making the most out of the worst, right? So they're even thinking to themselves, and I've talked to a lot of these professionals that are making 50, 60, 70K in a salary. They're using this as an opportunity to say, wow, they probably fired their least productive, talent managers or sales directors or, leadership team members. We're looking for someone fresh, someone that's really going to take advantage of this situation and really drive results. And those are the people that are actually looking right now. It's not even just people that are hour by hour hourly wage.
Correct me if I'm wrong, in a lot of, without naming names, a lot of the bigger logistics companies in the area, I feel like one reason that people don't want to work at those places is because the turnover rate is so high. And it's not an easy job. I mean, if you're a good fit for it, it can be easy. But with you guys, a lot of your people there have stuck around for a while.
Our retention rates are quite a bit better than our competition, but that's just because we have such a tight-knit community. I am very picky.
That, and I, because I came in and I did headshots for your company that one day. I think
excellent work, by the way.
Thank you. Hire me for pictures. I think one thing that I really liked about the atmosphere is that it's not a big 3-story building with hundreds of employees.
It's homey.
And that, I think that is, in places like that, at least for me, when I've worked in places with hundreds of employees, you feel so insignificant. Therefore,
just another number.
You're just another number, and you don't really matter as much. Whereas in a position at Bridge, you get recognized more because you guys do recognition for your employees all the time. That's something we talked about in that meeting.
So we kind of have a hoorah meeting on every Friday morning, and it's a chance where everyone stops what they're doing. If the phones are ringing, we'll pick up when we need to. We got to take business. People are waiting for their freight. But we give shout outs to those people that are just all-stars in the team. And then also too, recently in the last couple of months, our CEO has been very determined. I love working for him. He's kind of like someone that I view as a mentor and as a friend.
He's a very friendly guy.
He's very friendly, super friendly, and he's honest. He's humble. Can't say enough great things about him.
And him, in reference to other CEOs, I'm sure a lot of other CEOs don't even know half their employees' names, where once again, with your being a smaller company, how many brokers would you say you guys have right now?
We're sitting at around maybe 38 to 40.
Yeah, so like it's kind of one of those things where he can come in and say, "Hey, Kejal, great to see you." Where some CEOs will come in. Yeah. I mean, when I was at AT&T, I had even regional directors that didn't know my staff's name, and that, being at a higher performing store,
right? You would expect them to take the time to actually get to know their people. Yeah. That's not uncommon. I see that a lot. I think there are a lot of managers out there that manage from behind, but don't really go out on the front lines and really get in the trenches, really understand what their people are going through. Any real sales position or even operations positions that are out there, they're going to be difficult, but we take the time to listen. Yeah. I can guarantee that. And especially, when I talk about the blessings that have come from it, I've recruited some really high caliber people, and by the grace of God, they're working hard. They're strong people, and many of them are actually solid believers. Yeah, and that has been a blessing that you can't buy. Yeah, and in all the years of being in talent management and recruiting,
a lot of those traits not only are not purchasable, but they're not teachable either. And I think that's why you're so good at your job, is because you look for that.
Don't make me blush, man.
Because you search, that's what you do. You search for that, not only raw talent, but there's more than
genuine.
I would rather have somebody, me personally, I would rather have somebody that's not necessarily as good at their job, but has a good personality, and than somebody who's a jerk and a top performer. Those people are nice to have for a season, but you want good quality employees. So we'll I'm gonna let you do a plug at the end so people can reach out to you for potential hiring for Bridge if you're in the Cincinnati area and looking for a job. But I wanna move away from the corporate side of things, the professional thing, and really I want to dive into your career coaching business and kind of what that looks like. The reason that I had you on to begin with is because you're an entrepreneur like me, and just kind of what your business looks like, and hopefully that this will help you get a little bit of business.
Well, for me, it's I didn't start the career coaching business necessarily to just make money.
Well, let's start there. Why did you start the business?
That's a good question. So before I came to Bridge, I was actually the director of campus recruiting for Northwestern Mutual, at least one of them. And during that time, I got to work hand in hand with a lot of great people. The finance industry is brutal. It's really,
that's what I hear.
Yeah, it's very competitive, highly commoditized. And when I started recruiting these college students, I started to realize that these students didn't just need an internship. They needed a mentor. Yeah. And throughout the entirety of my career, and even before it even began, I had people early that were investing in me because they believed in me. They believed in my value proposition. They believed in what I stood for as a Christian and as a strong man, and one that wants to continue to strive to be a leader. So long story short, when I left NM, it was mutual. I decided
it was
Northwestern Mutual. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
Dad joke. There you go.
I gotta throw them puns in there when I can.
That was good. Yeah, I didn't even catch that, but it caught me slipping.
Yeah. That's funny.
But man, gosh, when I left NM, I went about a couple of weeks. I had opportunities. There's plenty of other companies that I can recruit for.
Yeah. Well, you have. Just to interrupt you real quick, you've made great connections and you're one of those people where you can walk up to anybody and connect with them, which
if I feel like it, if I've had my coffee,
right. and you and I are in the same boat there. So when you left your previous job, you did have a lot of options, not just because of the people that you connected with there, but just all the other people that you connect with. Right. I mean, we talk about people all the time. You have a lot of connections. So I think, just to go back to the Bridge thing for a second, I think they're very lucky to have you just because of your professionalism and the way that you do things.
Appreciate that.
Anyway, go on.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
But man, it finally got to the point where it was like 2 or 3 weeks after I'd left and, started interviewing other places immediately. I started to realize the best part of what I did that entire time was to inspire the next generation of leaders in our country for the glory of God.
Yeah.
And many of them weren't believers. They weren't Christians. And I started to realize that God has blessed me with a gift of coachability. And he's, I think, blessed me with a sense of humility and emotional intelligence, which I taught a seminar once on emotional intelligence. Travis Bradberry, one of my favorite authors, go look him up. But he, the whole prospect of starting your own small business, for me, I came from a family of entrepreneurs, all business owners, my mom and my dad, and even my stepfather. But it finally got to a point where I realized if I could use this opportunity, my downtime, to create a business that was solely founded on the opportunity to help people really see their value proposition and to see their value not because they're a number, but because of their character, their fundamental traits, what makes them different, what makes them unique, then I could be incredibly successful at building something that could ultimately be a ministry.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that is unfathomable. I can't even say the word.
It's so unfathomable that you can't even say it.
Yeah. It's a tremendous opportunity to give back.
Yeah.
And
that's an admirable trait is that is important to you in the company that you work with,
Absolutely.
Not necessarily that it's a Christian company, but if they have those values and the people that are Christians, I think that's great that's important to you, because I would hate to work at a terrible a company with a terrible reputation, and
nobody's worked in a bad company before. It's never happened.
So you decided that those values were important to you.
So when I started the career coaching business, it was just the career coach with a capital K. I thought it'd be clever to switch out the C and K because I wanted to inspire a little piece of who I am.
Which, by the way, real quick, look at the camera. Peep that logo on the hat. I created that.
Yeah. So it's been a blessing because, with starting the career coaching business, my first couple of clients, I didn't charge them anything.
Yeah.
And going off of that mentality of, if God wants this business to be successful, then he will bless it.
Yeah.
And he will be the one that ultimately gives it.
Yeah.
The strength and the fire inside of me, and by his blessing to actually impact a lot of lives.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because, since 8 months ago, the Career Coach LLC has now morphed into cross-path training.
Yeah.
And so now what I'm doing is career coaching. Still, I have quite a few ongoing clients that I work with. Anyone that's I have a couple of clients that are 6-figure incomes all the way down to people that were hourly.
Yeah.
And I don't really... in terms of compensation, I don't ever want to discriminate in that way, because whether or not you're at the very beginning or the very end of your career, you matter.
Well, also look at, for instance, athletes. I know it's a kind of a different comparison, but even the professional athletes need a coach.
Yeah.
Just like a T-ball needs a coach. So I think, no matter where you are in your career journey, you need somebody. And even spiritually, pastors need people that they can count on spiritually. So the fact that people can count on you for, your mentorship.
You don't even have to have the title of coach to be effective in someone's life.
Absolutely.
What you need to have is a sense of a servanthood mentality and a servant's heart. And that's something I preach, no pun intended, a lot to people, is that what makes you truly successful is your ability to grow with others and to recognize that you cannot do it all on your own. Christ being at the center of everything that I do, I'm not perfect, but recognizing that the only reason why I'm at where I'm at in my career and the blessings that have come from it are solely from God.
I'm going to try to think of the right way to ask this. to maybe someone
careful.
To someone who is, maybe listening that is not as strong of a believer.
Sure.
Two questions. Have you found it hard to keep your, Christ-centered mentality in your professional workplace? And how do you think that that's benefited you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Hit me with the hard balls now. Oh, man. So you're asking when I work with career coaching clients and they may not have the same faith or value system. Yeah. Okay.
So first question is, how has it been hard to keep that mentality working with maybe non-believers?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're sitting down with a career coaching client, I treat it like as if I was going into an interview with one of my candidates. I don't know them. I don't know what their backstory is. So I don't make assumptions. That's the most dangerous thing as a professional you can do is make assumptions and predictions about what someone might look or be like. I've had some really great candidates that didn't look or dress the part, but when they got into the positions, they worked their tails off. But when it comes to the faith and integrating that, whether or not someone is moralistic or not, or if they have a moral compass, I feel like everyone has a treat everyone as the way you would want to be treated kind of mentality, which is biblical in its foundation, but not everyone calls themselves a Christian or even a Christ follower. So when I sit down with a client, I say to them, look, my faith does inspire the way that I work, but you should know that the reason why I'm effective at what I do is because I do it with honesty and integrity. And it's because I'm a Christian that comes out. A lot of people can claim to be honest and transparent. Honestly, I tell all my clients, I don't even care if you pay me. I really don't, because ultimately, if people recognize the value I'm creating for you, whether or not you care I'm a Christian or not, that I can't convince you to follow the way that I follow.
Well, when I was, at my last job, I was selling Range Rovers and Jaguars,
You saw a lot of good people.
Yeah, and athletes, CEOs. I mean, I sold a car to a gold medalist, from the Olympics, in the Beijing Olympics in 2008.
And you didn't even ask if I wanted to meet them. How dare you?
Mary Weinberg, she's a motivational speaker. She's really awesome. But she bought a vehicle from me, and it's funny actually. Whenever I took my business full time last year, after I had left Jaguar Land Rover before, she actually contacted me to do headshots. So we've been able to maintain, a professional relationship outside. So, but yeah, I mean, when you're dealing with people will ask the question, why would I buy this car why would I buy this Range Rover instead of an Audi or a BMW, and you have to build the value in what you're selling, because at the end of the day, you may not be selling a tangible product, but you're selling yourself and your services, and you have to, talk about why that's important.
That's why I think the only reason why I've been able to build the career coaching business as fast as it has grown is, one, by the blessing of God, but two, because I know how to own my brand. And when you own your brand and you own who you are as a person, that will carry you for years to come. The most amazing thing for me is knowing that I have people that advocate for me every single day. Whether it be getting me connected to new career coaching clients or even finding candidates. I had one of my new hires from my alma mater, Cedarville. And he reached out to me and he said, hey, I got a guy that's looking for a sales job. And honestly, he's a man of integrity and he's trustworthy, he's honest, and, he only graduated a couple years difference from me when I was at Cedarville. And he wants to meet you. He wants to talk to you. And now he's in our second to last phase of the interviewing process.
Wow.
And that's because you build relationships. I tell everyone, I believe in relationships first and recruiting later. And I actually taught a seminar. I sit on the board for the YMCA here in Cincinnati, and I taught a seminar one day for the Blue Ash Business Association with partnering with the Y. and I taught a seminar on how to date your candidates, treating every single relationship you have with all of your candidates as a dating experience. Because ultimately, whether or not it's going to work out for the both of you, if it's a mutual fit or not, you want that person to walk away knowing it was a memorable experience.
Absolutely.
I mean, everyone's had a first date.
Yeah.
Not to get all romantic, but...
Well, that's what an interview is.
It is.
Because you're two people... I mean, that situation's a little bit different because you know somebody. I mean, right. I guess referrals are exactly that, but you have somebody that comes in and they essentially professionally romance you, to make you like them, so that relationship will continue. Yeah,
well, it's not even just impressing the person; it's knowing that your fundamentals and what you believe in are congruent.
Absolutely.
And I've had a lot of conversations with lots of candidates that have just straight up told me, I'm above this position, without even taking the time out to really sit down with me and talk about what the position actually looks like from a grandiose scale. And that does such a disservice. That rubs off on them worse.
Yeah.
It makes them look bad, and I feel for them, because if they're doing that to me as a talent manager and as a career coach, imagine how many other recruiters and talent managers they're doing that to.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we got to take a quick break for ads, and then we will come back and talk about, how you're using, Christ in the workplace and everything. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. And now a quick word from our sponsor. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that my videos are sponsored by Covenant Eyes. Covenant Eyes is about restoring human connection to help you live a life of freedom. Covenant Eyes is designed to help you and your loved ones live free from pornography. They have exceptional tech support, and they make it super easy by giving one report for all devices. I have Covenant Eyes on my phone and all of my computers and devices, and it has helped me get free from my addiction, and it's helping tens of thousands of people get recovery. I personally would not have a sponsor for a company that I don't believe in, and I fully believe in Covenant Eyes and their mission. You can use code DREAMLOUD in checkout, and you'll get 30 days free of their service. And I promise you, you're going to want to keep it after that. It's a great accountability to have on your devices. I've had mine on my phone for about 1.5 years now, and it's just been great. And real quick before we jump back into the podcast, Kejal and I are actually going to do a bundle of our services together. So you can email him at thecareercoach@gmail.com, or you can even text him at 513-300-3936 with the code CAREERPATH, and you'll actually get $75 for 1.5 hours of his service, and you'll get a headshot session from me. It is going to be a 45-minute session for $75, and you'll get both of our services for $150, which is more than half of what you would normally get it for. So you can text or email him the code CAREERPATH and email me the code DREAMLOUD, and you will get this great, great deal. So let's jump back into the podcast. Welcome back. Before we went to our break, we were talking about, Christ in the workplace. So I think the second part of my question was what has been the benefit of having, Christ in the workplace for you? Not just with career coaching, but with Bridge and other things as well.
How has it not affected it? Yeah. I think is a better question. For me, Christ, and just the way I am as a person, I like to be positive. Mm-hmm. The people that are most attractive as candidates are the ones that just result with all the things that are going on, with all the negativity that's out there, that still come to work and have a smile on their face. Yeah. For me, I have that because I know my assurance is in the Lord. And that has informed the way that people interact with me, because they recognize that there's something different there when I talk to Kejal. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that to be braggadocious. No. My own word. You're welcome. But when you put Christ at the center of everything that you do in the workplace, the way that you treat candidates when they come in for an interview, a lot of recruiters, for example, and a lot of career coaches have this sense of stubbornness and sense of egotistical pride. And that gets in the way of really recruiting high caliber people. I've seen it constantly. Yeah. I've worked in Fortune 100 and 500 companies, and that pride is what has kept people out of the doors.
Yeah.
You know, stop them right at the door.
Yeah.
Because the recruiter is really the gatekeeper. We are the gatekeepers to the bridge. See what I did there?
It was your turn for a pun.
Yeah, you're welcome. But we are the ones that hold the key to the entryway of our companies. And if you are not genuine in your approach, and if the way you are as a Christian isn't flowing out into your business and the way that you work, then you're not really going to be successful ever. You know, sure, you'll get a lot of hires. You'll get people that you might have come in. They might stay in the position 2-3 years, and then they walk out, and nobody acts as if it was any different.
Yeah.
Some of the best hires I've ever had are actually repeat hires.
Yeah.
They're people that I recruited for maybe, say, Renewal by Anderson, and they came in to interview at NM.
Yeah.
And then those people at NM have come and called me up, and they said, Kejal, you know, I miss seeing you in the office.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they might have left NM, or they might have decided to take a different path, which happens in any company. And then they called me back up when they found out I was at Bridge, and they came in to interview.
Yeah.
I recruited a student that actually was part of my internship program into Bridge.
Yeah. You, that's really cool. That's really cool. And the character of the person coming in, typically those with that, not cockiness. I don't know the right word.
Confident, but not cocky.
Yeah, those people are typically the people that will climb the ranks when they are actually in the position anyway.
The people that put their head down and don't talk a lot and do a lot, those are the most successful.
Yeah.
And I think that's really in any workplace when you think about it. The people that are so worried about getting the recognition end up don't get the recognition because they're so worried about getting in front of everyone else. And, you know, I'd be lying if I said that my own pride didn't get ahead of me sometimes. You know, it's easy to get prideful, and that is the downfall of who we are as human beings.
Yeah. Do you think that since you started your career coaching business 8 months ago or so, do you think that has helped you hone your craft of being a talent acquisition specialist at your
definitely
job?
I've seen so much overlap, and it's incredible because being a talent manager, you know, it's really 3 jobs in one. Is why I tell people. The first, you got to be a psychiatrist. Here, come sit on my couch and tell me sit down, honey. Tell me all your bad problems, your woes, the things that you've had go wrong in your past career opportunities. And I got to sit there and listen to it. So you can imagine how much fun that is, hearing it 15 or 20 interviews a week.
Absolutely.
You know, for me. And then secondly, you have to be a brand manager. You have to own and hone the brand of whoever you're working for. And whomever you're working for, you have to do it with integrity, and you have to represent yourself the utmost, even when people you think aren't looking, because they're always looking when you're a recruiter.
Absolutely.
It's a burden to bear. You know, I tell people recruiting is not for the faint of heart. You know, a lot of people use it and compare it to sales. It's not just sales, because sales, you know, at the end of the day, you can measure that a little bit easier, but recruiting, there's compensation. There is, you know, is this going to provide me a work-life balance for my family? And a recruiter has to be willing, and a talent manager has to be willing to sit down with every candidate and evaluate, is this going to be a good long-term mutual fit? And then lastly, you have to be an entrepreneur. You must, because if you do not know how to own your own schedule, which is an inherent trait of being an entrepreneur, then you will waste constant hours doing things and piddling around. I've seen so many recruiters, you know, they're hard workers, and I don't ever put down any other recruiters in other fields, but really, you have to be responsible and have to answer to yourself. And more importantly, you have to answer to God, because that's God's time.
Right.
That's not even just the company's time. That's God's time. You know?
Yeah. So how I know that because we've talked about this before, some of the business structure and the way that your career coaching business has shifted. You've gone through a couple different trial periods of different things. And how would you say, you know, the way that career coach looks 8 months ago to you know, where it is now? What do you think has changed?
I think my perspective has entirely changed, especially with COVID going on.
Oh, yeah.
Really remembering that this is a ministry platform. People want to be listened to. People want to be heard.
Yeah.
And again, whether you're a Christian or not, at the end of the day, I care about that, but that's not a make it or break it for me.
Absolutely.
That's not a means for me to not help people. I've had success professionally in the secular world, I've accomplished quite a bit because of the grace of God and because of the gifts that He's given me.
Yeah.
And when you have that perspective, that changes things. And within career coaching specifically, I've revamped. Oh my gosh, man! I've changed the model of just creating the utmost value per dollar for all of my candidates at least 3 times.
Yeah.
Because for me, I want to make sure that people are getting the most bang for your buck, the most value out of the hours that we're spending together.
Yeah.
And, right now, I'm offering to do a good chunk of career coaching. I do a storyboard session. I have a 6-step process in my career coaching program that I've developed from the ground up. And the first, second, and third steps are all covered. That's a storyboard session. That is a full resume review and a quick LinkedIn look over for $75. My usual rate is $150 for an hour and a half.
So essentially half off.
Half off. And I'm not doing it, again, because of the money. If you go and ask other career coaches, they say I'm crazy and I'm suicidal because most career coaches will charge at minimum $150 to $250 per hour. Per hour.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's overkill. And quite frankly, yes, you need to have the experience. A lot of career coaches have not even worked as recruiters before. They have been a professional in one specific category, and only worked in that specific territory. And that's where they hone their experience, right? But I've had enough experience as a talent manager recruiting for various different companies in different markets. I've recruited in the construction industry with windows and patio doors. I've recruited in the banking industry. I've recruited now in the logistics and supply chain. There's a lot there. And I want to bring all that to the table and say, how can I help you the most for the least amount of time and energy and money on your part? Because honestly, I want it to be a memorable experience.
Absolutely.
So,
what are some free tips that you can give to people? Obviously, you can't give away in this section. You can't give away a resume review or a LinkedIn review, but like for somebody who's going into, maybe a job interview on Monday or something of that nature, what maybe like 3 good tips, whether it's how they dress or whatever. What would you say?
Oh, yeah, that's good. I'd say first and foremost, never ghost a recruiter.
Yeah.
You know why? And this is for all of you, so please pay attention. We as recruiters have lots of friends.
Yeah.
Those lots of friends just happen to be recruiters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talk.
Yeah.
Not in a demeaning way.
Yeah.
But we talk.
We have a community, just like me as a photographer. Photographers swap, Bridezilla stories and stuff all the time.
People that you could get connected to all the live long day. What is it nowadays? It's all about the connections.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so when you ghost a recruiter, that pretty much tells us that you're not prepared to be a professional.
Yeah.
And you're not even a professional, because someone that truly is a professional will give common courtesy to anyone. Absolutely. And even if it's not a good fit, you know what the follow-up question will be? Hey, you know what? I know this isn't the right fit right now, but what I will tell you is I love your company, and only say that if you're being genuine.
Yeah.
But I love your company, and how can I help support you guys during this time of difficulty?
It's not even that hard to say, to call up or send. Even a lot of correspondence is done through email. Just send an email saying, hey, I'm no longer interested. Thank you for your consideration.
Takes 2 seconds. That's all I need. Yeah. That's all I ask.
You can do it from your phone. Pull up the email, do voice to text. Hey, thank you for your time. I'm no longer interested. Send.
You would think it'd be that easy, but I can't even count on any of my hands or even toes how many times that has happened to me. Secondly, because you asked for 3, I give your value proposition full-fledged. The second thing I would say is do your homework.
On the company you're applying for.
On the company. Not even just the company, actually. Hold up. Do it on all the people that you're going to possibly be interviewing with. You should know just as much, if not more, about those companies to ask critical questions regarding who they are as people, what is their favorite parts about being in that company, and also not even just on top of that, why do you think that I would be the best fit as a candidate for this position?
Well, to branch off of that, asking questions is really important.
It's fundamental.
Yeah.
It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody came in to an interview with me and they didn't ask questions, I mean, if they blew me away in the interview and we spent an hour talking and we covered a lot of ground, that would be one thing. But if the interview is 20 minutes long and you got nowhere and you still didn't ask questions, that's a bit of a problem.
Right. And, to that point too, when you ask critical questions, that brings out a sense of community and sense of open and honest communication.
Well, it just shows interest in general.
Right. And when you have that perspective and you get those managers and those recruiters engaged with you, you got them.
Yeah.
And then lastly, above all else, know your non-negotiables. And that's something I train in my career coaching business. That's something that I can't go into necessarily a lot of depth right now. But know what are your fundamental non-negotiables. Not just talking your salary, not even talking your hourly, not even work hours. What are your non-negotiables? What are your key indicators for success in your next role? And what are you really looking for in your next position? Don't tell me you want the next sales position that we have, because I got 15 other people saying the same thing.
That could be very well more qualified.
A heck of a lot more qualified. I've recruited people that have. I had one candidate a couple years back. He had, I want to say, 3 years of solid commission sales experience. Really, really sharp guy. And he came into that interview and he couldn't present a good argument why we should hire him, even though he had all the qualifications. And then a couple days later, we had another candidate that had less experience than him.
Maybe that's a question that you should know to answer before you go in is, why should you hire me?
Yeah.
Because if you get put on the spot and ask that question,
right.
If you don't know why, then...
Well, here's a quick freebie that I'd like to give you guys, actually. One of the questions I actually ask when I first walk into an interview, and I've done this in almost every single interview I've had thus far in my career, when I walk in, still standing or sitting down before the meeting even begins and they start talking, I say, hey guys, you know what? I want you to know that I really appreciate you taking the time out today to just meet with me. I believe in mutual partnerships and relationships, but I'm really curious, what was it on my resume that really made me stand out above everyone else?
That's a great question.
Not even just that, what really sparked your interest? What piqued your interest about me? And was it a company? Was it a specific number of years? I'm curious. Please tell me more. And that starts the conversation off just like that.
Because, it's the reverse is, why should we hire you? Well, why did you... Because I don't know any company that... I mean, maybe like Amazon warehouse or something that'll just hire anybody. But if you come in to do a professional interview, especially at like a sales or logistics company, and they, you should know, like we said before about the company, but you should know, why you're there, why you want that job. So.
Yeah. And also too, it opens up, I see so many people, the managers that I asked that question and they smile. I actually had one of my career coaching clients just about a month ago. She went into an interview, they were really excited about having her. But she told me she asked that same question at the very beginning of the interview. And at the end of the interview, they said, it's because you asked that question that we want to offer you the position today.
Wow.
Would you like
that's a really bold thing to start out with. That's like a really bold and confident thing. Oh, yeah, for sure.
That when you're in the interviewing process, people like different.
Yeah.
And I am a very different person. I'm a mixed kid from Mason, Ohio, and people just don't know what to do with that. They're just like, Kejal's a fun-loving guy. Yeah. I'm a fun-loving guy, but I hustle hard and stay humble.
Yeah. And you're good at what you do.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Again, you're making me blush, man. You gotta stop doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I do what I can for my friends, but so what else? I mean, what other important things would you say? Why would it be important to hire you as a career coach?
I think the most important thing about having a career coach, especially if you want to sign on and work with me specifically, it's understanding your fundamentals. As a coach, coaches all the time will tell you, work on your fundamentals, right?
Absolutely.
It's just pulling that 6-step process that is unmatched within the career coaching world and understanding that I'm not in this for my interests alone. Yeah. I'm not even doing this for me. I view this as a ministry and an opportunity to give back. And when you have that perspective, I've went over time. I've worked with career coaching clients much more longer than the hour and a half to 2 hours that they might sign up for, and I don't charge them extra for it. Why? Because I want to give you guys the most value for your time. Yeah. Because your time is very valuable, just like mine is.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great time to have somebody, even if they just do your entry-level package to get, obviously, if you're going into a big position, you want the big, everything. But even at this time right now, where if you're not furloughed and you're, looking for a new career opportunity, to have that resume review and that, I'm sure there's plenty of people that in the past, they've been at a job for 10, 15, 20 years and they haven't interviewed in a long time, and they just need, to learn how to get back on the bicycle.
All pieces need to be accounted for. If you're not hitting the marker on one or two of them, that can be detrimental in the interviewing process. And, I can't give any guarantees to anyone getting a new job because of going through career coaching. No career coach can offer that guarantee. But what I can tell you is you will be most prepared compared to anyone else. And I will tell you that also, I will gladly advocate for you. Yeah. Not to say I'll write you a letter of recommendation, but
not even a letter of recommendation, but a reference.
Right. Yeah, they went through my certification of career coaching. I've took them through my process, and I think they could be a really good fit for you. Now, people ask me all the time too. Will you pass along my resume? Yeah. I don't pass along resumes. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't just pass along resumes to whoever, whatever, my connections. You know why? Because that resume has my name on it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to be a great reflection of me, and I have to be comfortable with that first. Yeah. And ultimately, too, when you hire a career coach, whether or not you decide to work with me or not, you need to know that if a career coach is going to offer up the hundreds of thousands of connections that they have to help you find a job, then they're not really a career coach. Right. And that's going to ruffle some feathers right now, so I'm probably going to get some hate comments thrown at me, so fire away. But any career coach that sits down in front of a client and says, you work with me, I'll get you the connection. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to add, for anybody that is looking for a job, I want to endorse you because we're about out of time. So, as we're kind of winding down, I do want to endorse not only your career coaching business, but if you are in the Cincinnati area and you're looking for a job, I'm sure you guys are, still looking for professionals. You said
absolutely.
You've hired a couple people. You guys are practicing, the social distancing and everything.
We have masks in the office. We take good care of our people. Yeah. At Bridge, there's 3 pillars that we hang our hat on. it's culture, it's mentorship, and it's success.
Yeah.
And you can't have all three of those if you're not protecting your people.
Yeah.
And that's our perspective.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that just goes to show that you care about your employees.
Yeah. And ultimately, again, going back to what I said before, I believe in the relationship first. I have many good friends at Bridge now.
Yeah.
And all of them, actually.
Yeah.
I know most all of the people at our company. We're a tight-knit family community, and I'm comfortable with saying that. Before, in other companies, I was not comfortable with saying that.
Right.
But I've gotten to a point where I'm really close with our CEO, love him to death.
It's great.
And our VP. And, I mean, we crack up over Star Wars, we talk about, just different things going on in our lives. And they support me. And
that's a great company
them.
to want to work for, a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
DreamWorks really makes the team work in a sense.
Yeah.
And also
teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
You said it backwards, but I got what you said.
Yeah, you got me. But so if anyone out there is looking for a position, I don't sugarcoat things. Being in logistics, it's challenging, but we have a 15-month training and development program. It's unmatched within the entire logistics industry for the most part. There are other companies that have long training and development programs with different incentives.
Well,
and things like that.
how much effort you put into, but B, it's a difficult job, and there's great compensation for if you are a great performer in the job.
Right.
But it's one of those things.
You got to put in the time.
Yeah, you got and the effort.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I've never worked in logistics, but I know people that have, and once again, at the bigger companies, there's a lot of turnover rate because they have people applying all the time. But
I think it's important to have high expectations of your candidates and the people that you're hiring, but not in the sense of getting to a point where you make people feel like failures.
Yeah, absolutely.
That ruins a culture. And I don't care how many awards you've won. I do not care how many accolades you might get. You might be upheld as one of the top performing logistics companies in the nation. But your people are a reflection of that. A good company doesn't become a great company without great people.
Absolutely.
And that's what I look for, great people. And, like I said before, within our training program, we take you step by step from the very beginning. I know our sales trainer. I know he knows what he's doing. I know our director of sales and our operations team lead. And I know we have the tools and resources to help you be successful, but you have to partner with us.
Yeah.
It's not one-sided.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, for your career coaching, people can contact you through your career coaching
directly.
Business. And then through that contact, they can also talk to you about getting in with Bridge.
Yeah. So if you would like to reach out to me, just email me at thecareercoach@gmail.com. It's the easiest way to get in touch. I usually have a lot of people that start their career coaching by just sending me their resume.
Yeah.
And, definitely specify if this is for career coaching or for Bridge.
Right.
And definitely reach out to me. Above all else, I look for partners.
Yeah.
I look for friendships. Yeah. And, there's so many people out there suffering right now.
Absolutely.
COVID-19 is taking lives left and right.
Well, that's great that you're offering services at a discount to help people, get in to their next career.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
It's such a blessing to be able to see the impact it makes.
Yeah.
And just from the clients that I've worked with, there's story on top of story on top of story of people that have been incredibly blessed by, and I've been incredibly blessed by, to just have that hour and a half or even a couple hours of career coaching. And we still message. With all my clients, I've still stayed in touch. I'm not that kind of person where you pay me money to do career coaching and then we're done. That's not how it works with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thecareercoach@gmail.com.
Yeah, or you can go on my website, www.thecareercoach@gmail.com. It'll come up as CrossPath Training when you go to the main page, but you click on Career Coaching, and it'll take you right to that.
Okay, and then Facebook, The Career Coach.
Yeah.
And then Instagram, Career with a K. I'll put all these on the screen. Career_coach.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, Kejal, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
That was awesome.
I'm excited to put this one out. I think people really want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So.
And guys, also reach out to me if you just need prayer.
Yeah.
This is a time of catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I want to be a resource to you, whether or not you decide to sign up for career coaching or not. This is a ministry. And,
absolutely.
And just like with Jeff, I love this guy. He's been one of my closest friends. We've known each other for a very short time, but yet we've become really, really close. And, I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
Seriously, I love you.
Love you too, man. Thank you for being on here today.
Dude, it's awesome.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time. Thank you again, everyone, for listening to the podcast. Don't forget, you can use code DREAMLOUD at checkout and get 30 days free of Covenant Eyes, or you can use the code CareerPath and DreamLoud to get a 1.5-hour session with Kejal and a 45-minute headshot session with me. And once again, that is a great bundle, and I promise you it'll be worth it. And also, don't forget to check out my page, Free Photography Tutorials, where I will be uploading the more complex techniques explained in a simple way. Things like light trails, shooting in direct sunlight, studio lighting. Those are all videos that are going to be coming very soon. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next one.